Relieve, Respond, Revive. WSFL-TV presents The Rebound, South Florida.
If a child is not able to express themselves with their letter sounds and reading and putting sentences together, it's a drawback for them.
Putting books in the hands of children who need them most. What you can do to make sure hundreds of local students have access to a brighter future.
I cried virtually every single day.
For some, the pandemic has meant a delayed retirement. But for others, it sped up their plans. The big hurdles some soon-to-be retirees are having to overcome.
The reason that you should be voting is because elected officials are the ones who impact your lives every day.
National Voter Registration Day is next week. What you can do now to make sure your ballot counts. The Rebound South Florida starts right now.
I'm Forrest Saunders at the Capitol. Ken Lawson, John Satter, and now Dane Eagle will be taking over at DEO as head of Florida's troubled unemployment system. After getting tapped by the governor, Eagle started on Monday. Here's what he told us about his next job. DEO's newest director, Dane Eagle, is starting his new job looking back at what went wrong with Florida's unemployment system.
We never had a demand like this, so even if we were planning for the worst that we knew of, we wouldn't have planned correctly. So hindsight is 20/20, but certainly the system failed us.
To fix it, Eagle has decided to poll his fellow lawmakers, asking them before stepping down from his House seat what's working, what's not, and what could be improved at DEO. He's now combing through a pile of responses, hoping to find clear answers.
If we can communicate those problems and then have better understanding of how to fix them, but also let the people of Florida know that we are working on them, I think that is going to do wonders, and then we will actually, of course, fix those problems.
Top of mind for State Senator Jason Pizzo, the claims processing power at DEO.
Get people actually hired and on staff who can actually help an applicant.
He'd like to see it expanded after struggling to help thousands of his and other constituents get payment.
I can't get a cancer patient, a mother whose kid needs an extra kidney, I can't get an answer on that within 24 hours. Something's wrong with the system.
Eagle was unsure of the actual number of claims processors at the department, but acknowledged improvement was needed.
We need more. We need more.
Now in the midst of a literal and figurative hurricane, DEO's new chief says he's ready to get to work.
We're going to fix these problems and make sure that Floridians feel better about the service DEO is giving them.
At the Capitol, Forrest Saunders, WSFL TV.
This year, the need for books is crucial as more students learn remotely during the pandemic. Here at WSFL TV, we're proud to partner with the Miami-Dade Head Start and the Early Learning Coalition of Broward County to put books in the hands of children in our community who need them the most. The owner and director of Greater Horizons Academy Preschool in Lauderhill talks about the importance of literacy.
The book is enormous, and I like the part when he has the party and then they switch the fish up and then he noticed.
For Nadira Strong and Malika Robertson, reading is an adventure and an escape from being stuck at home.
I read it 10 times because that's my favorite book. Curious George. I like how he's so curious.
To give a child a book is invaluable for the rest of their lives.
Demi Palmisano, owner and director of Greater Horizons Academy Preschool, says kids who grow up with books in their homes have a major advantage over children who do not.
They're more likely to graduate, to vote, and to be civically involved. And it's like you don't necessarily relate that to reading a book, but you're setting themselves up in the literacy to be responsible and to be thinkers.
My child being surrounded by a book will expand their vocabulary. I also think it will open up their mind.
Mother of 3, Dominique Gaz, says reading to her children has helped them become more social.
My 2-year-old, she was a little delayed. She was born early. So I was always afraid, like she's very quiet. But since I've been reading to her and pointing things out to her, I've just noticed like even her vocabulary now is starting to expand. You can show her something and she'll point to it. Or sometimes she even go get the book herself if she wants me to read it to her.
Debbie recommends parents should read to their children at least 20 minutes a day.
Don't place it all on the teachers. Yes, they're read to, and we can encourage that. But when it's in the home and they have that example in front of them, it's just so vital.
If you'd like to make a donation, please go to WSFLTV.com/giveabook. Just $5 will put a book in the hands of a child in need.
I have to be able to look at them every day and say that I want to be here for you.
It's a decision some workers didn't want to make, but COVID-19 has forced them to retire early. The emotional struggle of trying to figure out what's next. Plus, making your voice heard with your ballot. What you need to know if you're not registered to vote.
The pandemic has cost millions of Americans their jobs, but for many older workers, it's forced them to turn to retirement instead of going back to work. We spoke with one teacher who says she's having to leave her career and all the benefits she's worked decades to earn.
Tomatoes there.
At the end of summer, Christina Kerfman would typically be rushing to prepare her second grade classroom.
It's a green pumpkin.
But this year,
I started growing a garden. I've never planted vegetables in my entire life, and I love it.
Her newfound happiness coming with just as much heartbreak.
I submitted my retirement papers.
After 28 years in the classroom.
For me, teaching was about the connection with kids, and it was about hugs, and it was about, tying shoes and helping with your hair, and it was about those relationships.
With COVID-19 threatening those precious relationships, Kerfman was forced to reconsider going back to school.
I had a student come in and say, "This coronavirus, is this going to kill us all?" And I was like, oh my goodness. I came home and went, no. I'm not doing this anymore.
She knew her body couldn't take the risk.
I have an autoimmune disorder. It's getting a little bit worse. It's similar to rheumatoid arthritis, so I have trouble with walking.
On top of that, a few years ago, she spent weeks in the hospital for a blood clot in her lung.
I was saying goodbye to friends and family. I wasn't willing to test that again.
Because losing her health would mean losing time with those she loves most.
I'm a mom more so than I'm anything else. And I have to be able to look at them every day and say that I want to be here for you.
So she's stepping away from all she's known.
I've cried virtually every single day.
And the financial hit of retiring early at 55, Kerfman says, doesn't help.
My retirement pension is $1,000 a month. My health care is going to be $2,000 a month. So I'm in the hole already. It's a huge financial decision, but in the end, you're talking about your life at stake.
Kerfman is not alone in facing early retirement. The Brookings Institution estimates that between March and June, 2.9 million older workers lost their jobs because of COVID-19. And female workers are at a higher risk of unemployment than males. For Kerfman, the tough choice has come with an outpouring of support.
It's tradition in our school when you retire for everyone to fill out a scrapbook page of some retirement advice.
Even if she wasn't ready for that advice quite yet.
It's time to enjoy your pool, your animals, and traveling. Boy, people know me, don't they? Look forward to the best days of your life. We love you and we miss you. Oh, it's hard.
And she will feel a void that only the laughter of children can fill. But Kerfman keeps reminding herself of one thing.
It's not the way that I wanted it to end, certainly. I didn't get to say goodbye to my class. I didn't really get to say goodbye to my fellow teachers, but that'll come.
I'm Alexa Liacco.
Nearly 1 in 6 seniors in America faces the threat of hunger or malnourishment. In South Florida, thousands are struggling to put food on the table, especially now. But with the help of nonprofits like Meals on Wheels, hundreds of seniors are getting the food they need. And you can help too. We're challenging our communities to step up and fight hunger among the most needy. If you'd like to contribute to Meals on Wheels South Florida, there's a link at the top of our website, WSFLTV.com.
Here's what's next on the Rebound South Florida. 5 months after it first started sending out stimulus checks, the IRS is still struggling to get everyone the CARES Act money they're entitled to. What you need to know if someone in your family is still waiting to get that financial relief.
Children who grow up with books in their homes have a major advantage over children who do not. Thousands of kids here in South Florida don't have access to books at home. That's why WSFL TV partnered up with the Miami-Dade Head Start program and the Early Learning Coalition of Broward County to put books in the hands of children who need it the most. Please join us in our mission to empower children in need. If you want to make a donation, you can head to WSFLTV.com/give-a-book.
Getting through this with stories to help get back on track as we rebound in South Florida.
Roughly 5 months after it first started sending out stimulus checks, the IRS is still struggling to get CARES Act money out to those who are entitled to it. Millions of people still need to get paid. Here's what the IRS is doing now to get those people their money.
The House will be in order.
With Congress unable to agree on another stimulus package, the CARES Act may have been the only chance for many to get an economic impact payment or stimulus check. But millions still haven't received that. Roughly 9 million people are still owed at least $1,200, and another 2 to 3 million people are entitled to and have been fighting for the $500 for each of their eligible dependents.
Well, I think there's a whole combination of factors for why people haven't received their checks.
Nina Olson is the executive director for the Center of Taxpayers' Rights.
The IRS has just announced it's sending letters out to the 9 million folks.
So what do these people need to do to get their stimulus checks? They have to take action. Either go to the IRS's website and fill out the non-filer's form or file a tax return.
It's also really important that people realize that if they use the non-filer portal, they won't be able to claim the earned income credit. Those people need to file a regular return rather than using the non-filer portal. And I don't think the IRS has done a really good job about telling people that.
The earned income credit could be worth up to $6,000. Now, for the 2 to 3 million people still eligible for $500 per dependent,
for Social Security retirees and disabled persons, it gave them less than 48 hours to go online. If they had children, that meant that they could get an additional $500 and enter that on the non-filer portal. Well, you know, a lot of these folks don't have online access. It actually took a lawsuit that is still in the process of being settled to force the IRS to reopen the portal.
Those still eligible to claim their dependents have until the end of September to claim them through the IRS's non-filers portal. The estimated 9 million non-filers eligible for the full economic impact payment have until October 15th to take their required action. And you don't have to wait for the IRS's letter to do so. If you think you're amongst those eligible, you can go again to the IRS's website and fill out the non-filers form now. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
South Floridians have until October 5th to register to vote in the November 3rd election. We know there are so many questions about how to vote, especially in the middle of a pandemic. Here at WSFL TV, we partnered with the League of Women Voters in both Broward and Miami-Dade County to make sure you have the information you need to cast your ballot.
National Voter Registration Day is coming up on September 22nd. The day is a reminder to vote in the next election, a deadline many Americans miss.
The reason that you should be voting is because elected officials are the ones who impact your lives every day.
Another date registered voters tend to miss, voting day. According to Monica Elliott, president of the League of Women Voters of Broward County, in the 2016 presidential election, around 330,000 registered voters in the county did not vote.
When we look at the vote difference between the two candidates in like the presidential election, it was only 100,000 or so across the entire state.
With the pandemic causing fear of voting at the polls, the League of Women Voters is encouraging to vote by mail. The Miami-Dade chapter expects over 80% of voting is going to happen before Election Day.
So that's between vote by mail and early voting, and that is just something we've never seen before. I think vote by mail is a really equitable way to vote. You don't have to think about taking time off work or figuring out what your polling station is. It's a really good way to sort of level the playing field, and you get to take the time to understand what's on your ballot at your own pace.
So after you register, remember to vote on November 3rd.
Voting is your one way of being able to participate. You're voting for those elected officials, and then they are going to be acting on your behalf. But it starts with you making that, taking the time to vote. And that's what makes our democracy work.
If you're wondering how you can register to vote, we have a link on our website, WSFLTV.com. Just click Vote 2020.
Children living in poverty need help learning how to read now more than ever. That's why we need your help today during our If You Give a Child a Book campaign. To give a child a book means they're more likely to go on to graduate high school. A donation today as small as $5 can put a book in the hands of a child who desperately needs one. To make a donation today, Just go to WSFLTV.com/giveabook.
It's a topic we're very passionate about here at WSFL TV. As we've been mentioning throughout the day, thousands of kids in South Florida don't have access to books at home. Studies show the ability to read can help lift children out of poverty. Brick's Early Learning Center in Homestead is just one of the many schools in our area committed to empowering children with the literacy tools they need.
And roar. Hold me close and turn on the lights.
This is one of the 10 classrooms at Brick's Early Learning Center in Homestead.
On Saturday, he ate through one piece of chocolate cake, one ice cream cone.
Each room has a bookshelf. These books playing a crucial part in every child's life.
It helps them not only develop skills to interact with other children, but develop skills to make sure they understand and help communicate at such a young age.
When he started school, he wants to read more at home. So that really helped him develop and also help him understand so many things.
Studies show a child who can't read at grade level by 3rd grade is 4 times less likely to graduate from high school.
If a child is not able to express themselves with their letter sounds and reading and putting sentences together, it's a drawback for them.
Nicole Rodriguez is the founder and director of Bricks. She says after the school closed due to COVID-19 back in March, books were donated to underserved families to help students stay on their reading path.
Not every family was ready to entertain and engage their children in appropriate academic activities, and so there's been a big need to have extra books at home.
But with the help of the Scripps Howard Foundation's If You Give a Child a Book campaign, we can make a difference in a child's life in Miami-Dade County.
The more books that children have access to, the brighter their futures are, for sure.
We're proud to partner with the Miami-Dade Head Start and the Early Learning Coalition of Broward County to put books in the hands of children in our community who need them the most. If you'd like to make a donation, please go to WSFLTV.com/giveabook. Any amount will help. One of the great things about living in South Florida, we get a chance to just stop and take in the beauty. Each week, we want to hear from you in your own words, what you love about the community you live in. Tonight, we leave you with Zoe Hagen in Fort Lauderdale.
I grew up in Weston, but I live in Fort Lauderdale now. I moved here after I graduated and got my first job in PR in Fort Lauderdale at Border and PR. I was ready to get out into the real world and a bigger city. Some of my favorite things to do around here are definitely go to the beach, go out on the boat. Sometimes if friends want to go fishing, I'll go with them. Las Olas has some really fun restaurants and some really good food. Being able to go on a bike ride down Las Olas or on the beach or a run always feels really nice, and just to get some fresh air and get out of the house. There's also downtown if you want to do something fun, which haven't really been able to do a lot of that in the pandemic, but a few months ago when it was allowed, it was a very fun nightlife scene. Miami has like Brickell and places like that where it's similar, where you can walk around and live, work, play in the same place. And Fort Lauderdale seems to be mimicking a lot of those concepts and bringing them here through a lot of renovations, a lot more residential areas being built, so much construction and up and coming places that I'm excited about.